Welcome back to the Poolside Chat. I'm Alana Edwards, and today we have a special guest, our interim superintendent, Mr. Lawrence. We talked about Thanksgiving, winter traditions, and new nicknames. Mr. Lawrence, how have you been?
Great. How have you been?
Good. How was your Thanksgiving?
Awesome Thanksgiving. Ate way too much. Watched a lot of football, a lot of college basketball, but enjoyed the break. How about you?
Good. I enjoyed having the food. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
I'm a sides guy. So stuffing, the potatoes, all of that, way too much of the sides, all the stuff that's really bad for you. Yeah. How about you?
Mashed potatoes are just, they're my favorite. Yeah. But gotta go with, have you ever had broccoli bake?
I have not.
It's what my family does. It's like a broccoli casserole, but with only like cheese and crackers. But it's like all baked together. It's so good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, so let's just get into like our craft. Today
Sure.
We're making a little popsicle Christmas tree, and we lost one of the pom-poms. That's perfect. So what we can start off doing is just coloring 3 popsicle sticks each.
Sure.
I have some markers right here. You could choose whatever green. These are my mom's markers too.
Okay.
Even
Thanks,
better.
Mom.
Thanks, Mom. All right, so choose whatever color green you
Gotta
want.
go with the traditional green here.
I'm gonna go with the little lighter one.
All right.
See what happens.
Awesome.
All right. So today I just wanted to talk a lot about like the mascot and like not the mascot, the nickname change that we just went through. I know, was it Monday that they officially said that the name was changed or going to be changed?
Yes, on Monday, the Board of Education made their final vote to make the mascot change from, I'm sorry, not mascot change, but we're moving from being Warriors to Legends.
How do you feel about the name change?
Obviously, like many people, didn't want to go through the name change process, but it was necessary. So I was just happy that we were able to go through a committee last year and really getting good feedback from our students, our community. And, you know, like I said, we were all hopeful that maybe we wouldn't have to make this change, but ultimately we did. So just happy that we were finally able to land on something.
Good. A lot of students were wondering, like, why are we getting a nickname change? Because, like, you know, we've been Warriors for so long. They were just wondering why.
Sure. So it really goes back to a few years back when New York State made some mandate changes based on no longer allowing schools to use any mascots or nicknames that are linked to indigenous peoples. We thought, as a district, we made the changes that they thought were necessary back in the early 2000s. By changing our actual mascot, and we thought at that time we could keep the name Warriors. Within the last 2 years, though, New York State came forward and said, not so fast. Any nickname that's linked back to that original mascot, Warriors being in our case, needs to be changed as well. So the state said, if you don't comply with this, we're not going to continue to give you the funding that you need to get by. We rely on that funding quite a bit, so obviously we wanted to make sure we were in compliance and went through this process.
Okay. That makes so much more sense, because a lot of people were just thinking like, oh, it's because there was some people being offended by the name, but it's everyone. Then there was other people like, well, it doesn't make sense why they would be, but understanding that it is linked to the older mascot, it makes sense that why we would change it.
Sure.
So that clarifies it a lot. When is this change going to be worked into the school?
So we're Warriors for the remainder of this school year. Next school year, so starting July 1 is when we kind of officially move from Warriors to Legends. And then we'll start the process this summer of removing the Warrior name from various places around the district.
All right. What feedback have you heard from like students and staff about it?
It's mixed. I think a change like this, because we have been Warriors for so long, that's a difficult one for folks to overcome. But I'm very confident that in another year or two we'll be able to embrace this and we'll be fine moving forward. But yeah, change like this initially, it does take some time.
And then I have some student questions just about the nickname change. Some students were wondering, like, how much will this cost?
So the overall cost, we don't know the definite cost at this point, but it's right around $300,000 that it'll cost, and that's just the removal of warriors from places like our gym floors, various places we have that on buildings and different things in our district. So that's kind of our soft cost right now. We don't know the actual cost in the long run because we have warriors everywhere.
Yeah.
Still trying to
And
figure out where it all is.
Is this being funded by the state, or is this coming straight from the district?
Pretty much from the district. So the state has said if we're in the middle of a building project or something along those lines, we could incorporate some of those costs into that. But unfortunately, we just went through the building process. So we really aren't able to do that. Like our brand new gym that we have to change, we unfortunately will have to eat the costs on that.
Yeah, I thought that would be a little difficult.
Yeah.
Good thing that we didn't put that on the new turf. I know
Correct.
that before we did, I think. But
Correct.
The whole gymnasium is going to be a little bit of a difficult process.
Yes, fortunately with the turf, we knew that change was coming, so we didn't know what that change would be, so we just stuck with Liverpool everywhere we could go where we would potentially have a name. So we're pretty neutral there.
Just a lot of students were wondering why why was the nickname Legends an option?
So that was based on the vote, a couple of votes and surveys that we put out there last year. So students should remember. Hopefully, they participated in the vote last year. I think we had about 10 names that initially came from our community survey. Legends was one of those names, and then the committee that was really focused on this name change, they wanted to make sure that students had their own separate survey. So I think we had about 1,200 students who participated in that survey, and Legends was by far the winner on that.
All right. We got to continue on this
Sure,
craft.
yeah.
I got a little distracted asking all these questions. So what we're going to do, just if you want to watch, I'm going to do a little dollop on the bottom of these two, and then a dollop at the top of this one.
Yep.
Because we're going to, you kind of like push this side, the bottom of the popsicle stick onto this one, and then this one lays on top of both.
All right.
Oh, I kind of messed it up. Oops. There we go. Got a little glue on the table.
That's okay. I think I've got it here.
When's the last time you've done a craft?
It's been a while. So with my kids being a little bit older, my crafting days have passed me here, but okay, not too far off.
Mrs. O'Brien thought I needed to give her a little more time to prepare for crafts. Like we should probably do like a run through. I was like, no, just doing it like this, it just makes it so much easier.
That's all right. She needs to step up her crafting game, I've heard anyway, so that's okay.
Who'd you hear that from, Mr. Woodcock?
Mr. Woodcock mentioned that's been a problem for a couple of years here. So
Sounds like something Brett would say.
yeah.
Just a few more questions about like the mascot and the nickname change. I keep saying mascot. I don't know why. It's just
I think it's normal. Yeah, everyone does.
Since we don't have to, since we don't have to change the mascot, people were kind of confused why we don't have to, even if like the warrior is kind of attached to that new mascot. So why don't we have to change that one? Probably should rephrase that. Why don't we have to change the mascot to the new name?
So the actual mascot itself, that was changed, like I said, back in the early 2000s. So that is not linked to the indigenous peoples like the name Warriors was. When we went through the process of determining on our committee what our changes were going to look like, we did talk about, do we completely change everything? Do we change the mascot as well as the name? It was determined that would more than double our costs, so we would be around maybe $700,000-ish if we made that change as well, and the committee chose to be fiscally conservative with us and only go through with the name change.
Will there be a grace period for us to like change everything, or is it only like it has to be done by this summer?
We have a little bit of a grace period, but the state does want us to show pretty quickly that we're making the change. So that's where I had mentioned before, this summer we'll start really working on the big things like sanding down the gym floor, things like that, where it's the public sees it the most, we'll want to get those things taken care of pretty quickly.
All right. And then what did the process look like for picking the new name? Like, what went into getting all the options that we had for those polls?
So we put together a committee, and that consisted of community members, parents, staff members, students, and that group really determined what the process was going to look like. So we decided to first put out a survey to the community asking for name options. It was very simple. Hey, throw out some ideas that would link back to what our mascot looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to be called the Liverpool Frogs and our mascot not being a frog. So we wanted to make sure that the options did match that. And from there, it was narrowed down to about, I think it was a list of 10 different names. And we then put those names out in 2 separate surveys, one for our students, one for the community, for folks to vote on which they felt was the best name. And that's where Legends came out. Like I said, it wasn't even close. It was by far the top name.
And then for the poll that went to the students, did this
Just lost one here.
did it go to like all students, so like as well as like elementary school students?
Correct. Yes, it did go to our elementary students. A little bit different for our youngest students. It was a classroom vote. So when I mentioned 1,200 students participate, it's actually more than that.
Yeah.
But our youngest students, we did classroom votes, so the teachers helped them through that process. And we wanted to make sure, the committee felt very strongly that it should be all of our students, K-12, participating, since they will all be living our name here.
I didn't even think about that, like that you guys were gonna also ask the elementary kids. Like I would think like, oh, middle school and high school, because they can understand why or understand that we're doing a nickname change of some sort. Kind of cool that you guys actually got everyone's input to get that nickname change.
Yeah, we thought that was really important, especially with our youngest students. They will actually be Legends the longest, so it was important for them to be a part of the process.
All right. Now all we have to do is just add the trunk and we should be done.
Awesome.
Cut it. Actually, no, I'm going to do over here, just in case. Okay, that was a little dramatic for me. Now we can kind of get off the topic about the nickname change.
Sure.
Just talking about winter. And we were talking about this before. What goes into picking a snow day?
Oh, snow days are fun. So I have to get up really early on those days. So when everyone else ends up getting to sleep in, I'm usually up around 4:30. That's when myself, our Director of Transportation, Mr. Brown, and our Director of Facilities, Mr. Clisson, we start our text group and start looking at the conditions outside. Luckily, our maintenance crew here for the district, they get in super early when we're looking at snow. So they're usually here around 2, 3 in the morning. They start the plowing process here in the district. So we have people on the ground telling us right away, okay, it looks really bad out, or it's not that bad. We're able to keep up with this. There, gotta make sure my trunk is on better. So they're really the main people who give us that feedback as far as what conditions look like here in Liverpool. Then I also have another text group where some of the area superintendents, we start texting as well. So we want to know how things are looking over in the North Syracuse district, Baldwinsville, and as well as ourselves. So we're kind of on the same page, although our districts are obviously a little bit different.
And then how do you feel about holiday break being 2 weeks this year?
I love it. Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important for our students, our staff, everyone to have that opportunity to get away, be with family, be with friends. So really a big fan of that. It's nice when it comes around every few years here.
And then one last question before I wrap it all up.
Sure.
What winter traditions or just holiday traditions do you have?
So holiday traditions, I'm actually the person in our family who does all of the decorating and all of that fun stuff around our house. We're a little bit Christmas crazy in our house, so it's a lot of decorations, a lot of crates of decorations. Somehow my wife gets out of all of that. She does do the baking and all of that. So I do all of the decorating, which is a tradition usually with my daughters. And then my other kind of quirky tradition is I try to watch Christmas Vacation as many times as possible.
Oh, really?
I watched it last night. Usually it's groans from my wife and kids. They walked in last night as I was watching it for probably the third time already this Christmas season.
Oh, no.
And they're like, really, this is on again? But I love the movie, can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
So,
I honestly, I would do the same thing, like watch the same one over and over again. But it's not Christmas Vacation for me. It's A Wonderful Life.
okay, that's
My
always a
family
tradition.
love that one. That's just our go-to Christmas movie that we watch like a bunch of times during Christmas time.
Yeah, that's my Christmas Eve movie. So, yes.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun. I'm glad we actually got to do
Absolutely,
a
yes.
craft this time, and it just feels so much more comfortable doing this with you now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So we'll definitely have to come back with you. I don't know. I'm not sure when we'll bring you back, but I'll bring you back soon.
Maybe
Make you
we'll
do
have-
another craft, maybe something harder. 'Cause
Maybe
it
we'll
seems
have a
like
couple of snow days in between.
couple
you
snow
know,
days.
Yeah,
a break.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
This has been another episode of the Poolside Chat. Thank you guys so much for watching.